Japanese scientists from the Institute of Audio Communication conducted research on whether Vladimir Putin indeed utilizes double in his public activities. It is known that the topic of doubles for the Russian dictator often arises in the media, but there is no concrete evidence that there are multiple Putins. One can rely on the testimony of the head of Ukrainian military intelligence, Kirill Budanov, or numerous reports in Telegram channels where the issue of Putin doubles has become more routine than sensational. However, now we are talking about a scientific study conducted using artificial intelligence, and the study was analyzing the pronunciation of certain words by the president of the Russian Federation. And typically, the same person pronounces these words absolutely identically in every situation. And every speech therapist and philologist would confirm the validity of this idea. So, the scientific analysis of how Vladimir Putin pronounces certain words and sounds has shown that in at least some critical situations for the Russian president, there were several instances of Putin. Of course, the most interesting moment is Putin's presence in Mariupol. Many speculated that the real Vladimir Putin would not dare to travel to a city only recently captured by Russians. And also we recall an embarrassing incident for Russian propaganda when during the shooting of a propaganda video, someone from the crowd surrounding Vladimir Putin uttered words challenging the authenticity of the scene. He said, "It is," or he said, "This is all a lie." And these unexpected words were later carefully edited by Russian propagandists, and they became a real setback for the presidential trip. So the Japanese scientists emphasized that the Putin present in Mariupol coincides with a different Putin seen in negotiations, for example, with the head of the People's Republic of China, Xi Jinping, or the Putin who was present on the Crimean Bridge. This Putin coincides only by 18%. In simple terms, it is not the same Putin. One of them is indeed Vladimir Putin, while the other is an entirely different person, used as a mask for the Russian dictator. It is evident that Vladimir Putin himself might not have wanted to participate in the trip to the occupied Mariupol. Also, the security service of the Russian president could have prevented him from traveling to such a critically dangerous area, fearing possible attacks from Ukrainian special forces or maybe Ukrainian partisans who are trying to worsen the situation for Russians in the occupied Ukrainian territories. And the result of this activity of Ukrainian partisans is that many collaborators will never meet either Vladimir Putin or his double. They only meet in a situation where there is no Vladimir Putin. And indeed, the Russian dictator has passed away, with the country being ruled by his associates using doubles. So then in heaven they can, meet the real Putin. However, this is too fantastical scenario, and that this scenario, that there is no artificial intelligence that can help us understand this scenario. If we agree with the conclusion of Japanese scientists, it becomes clear how we encounter situations where one fine day the Russian dictator sits behind a long white table and avoid talking even to representatives of the higher Russian political leadership. The next day, after implementing such decisive security measures, that same Putin hugs and kisses a large number of people unlikely to have completed the quarantine that would make the trip safe for the Russian president and safe for his, let's say, hypertrophied sense of security. Even at a scientific level, if we can assert that there are several Putins, the latest high technologies allow us to draw realistic conclusions about the existence of the Russian model of state governments. Here we come to the most crucial point. Could there be a situation where Russia is generally governed anonymously? If the same Putin who still exists and is the president of the Russian Federation were to die, and no one would tell anyone about it, even to the authors of anonymous Telegram channels, and the Putin and the Russian Federation would be controlled by his double, who pronounced certain words and certain sounds entirely differently. Well, if modern technologies continue to develop, we can at least understand who among the Putins remains, on the political stage, and how many doubles the Russian president actually has. And the most significant problem is to understand who among these people is the real Putin. And perhaps if we carefully analyze Putin's pronunciation at the beginning of his rule and throughout the years in office, we can solve this problem. And thus, at some point, we may realize that Putin, who became the president of the Russian Federation 24 years ago, no longer exists. And Russia has entered the era of new Putin, who has nothing in common with his predecessor, but is considered by the citizens of the Russian Federation or subjects of the Russian Federation, and the Russian political and military leadership as the same Putin, who can give them unquestionable orders. If such a political era in Russia indeed begins, Russia will become the first formation, the first state in world history to be governed not only by ruler himself, but also by his double. But we still have to live to see all of this. Have a nice day. Merry Christmas again, and till next time, Slava Ukraini!